How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to an all-new episode of Goat Talk. My name is Faz, as always, here on Wednesday nights at 9:30. We have two very special guests with us tonight. We have Luca and Aaron. I'll just let you guys say a little quick hello. How y'all doing tonight?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here. Can't wait to talk about Edelman. This news came abruptly a couple of days ago, so looking forward to talking about that.
Yep. Aaron, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to talk about Edelman. I'm excited to talk about his whole career.
Awesome. Always great to have the both of you on as also. I know it's been a little bit since we've had either of you. So let's get right into it. Julian Edelman. Shocking news that Edelman had to retire, failed physical, cut his contract with the Patriots entirely. He is no longer in the NFL. Kind of shocking because he's relatively a household name in the NFL. So, Aaron, I know you said you want to talk about Julian Edelman's career. So let me toss it to you first. What has Julian Edelman meant to the Patriots? And for my Patriot fans that I have in the chat right now, is Julian Edelman an NFL Hall of Famer?
That is the question that everybody's saying. To me, he's not. But with his whole career, I think he's definitely somebody who people are going to remember for a very long time, even though he's not going to be in the Hall of Fame. He is one of those really great players, just not all-time great. He has done things that people can't even imagine doing. Like, he was quarterback at Kent State, was drafted in the 7th round, and he was one of those players that had to take advantage of preseason and had to make a name for himself very early on. So right then in preseason, he made himself known, and Belichick noticed him, and he came in and completely dominated. He became a part of that Patriots dynasty that everybody began to hate that wasn't a Patriots fan because they were always winning. And he was one of Tom Brady's key guys. He's Super Bowl MVP, multiple rings he has, and he's done really well for himself. He's just not, when you think of the top receivers right now, you don't think of Edelman. And I personally never have thought of him as one of the top receivers. I just think of him as the go-to guy, the guy that's really always reliable pretty much. And that can get you out of a kind of sticky situation. When I think of the top receivers, immediately I think of Hopkins, I think of Diggs, Michael Thomas even. I don't think of Edelman, but overall, I think he deserves to be remembered for a very long time, but also he never made a Pro Bowl. And that's an individual achievement, and so is the Hall of Fame. So I think that says a lot.
Luca, thoughts on the career of Julian Edelman?
Yeah, I think Julian Edelman, I think the best way to describe him is he's your stereotypical, Patriots player. He was, like Aaron was saying, he played quarterback in high school, quarterback in college, 7th round draft pick, comes into the NFL, he's not starting right away, took advantage of the preseason. He's not the tallest, he's not the fastest, he's not the strongest, but he was just really crucial for the Patriots at, crucial times. The Super Bowl a couple years ago, he had that insane catch while off the ground, or not the ground, off the defenders, fingertips, insane catch, but he's kind of like the heart of the Patriots. You can tell he's the leader, he motivated his guys, and he had never complained. He always just put his head down and just went to work. So in terms of Hall of Fame, I think, eventually he'll make it. Definitely not first ballot. I think a lot of people sometimes remember the winning of a lot of players, and sometimes they consider that in a Hall of Fame, selection. But it's going to be a while for that. But I think he's a great player, and he's one of the better players and faces of that Patriots franchise from the past couple of years.
Right. I'd have to agree with both of those statements. For me, Patriots Hall of Famer, no doubt in my mind. He's done so much for that franchise. NFL Hall of Famer, we'll wait and see what the committee decides, but I highly doubt that. One more question for each of you on Julian Edelman. So, obviously, it's a big part of the Patriots' offense, regardless of how he's performed over the past couple of years. He's still a key part of that team. They just re-signed Cam Newton. They still look to be in a win-now mode. Where's the team go now without Julian Edelman? Do you think their offense stays afloat without him, or do you think they take a massive tumble? I'll toss it to Luca first.
I'm thinking they're going to be a little bit better. They signed some receivers this year. They got Aguilar, who's not necessarily one of the best receivers, but last year with the Raiders really showed that he belongs in the NFL. They signed Hunter Henry as a tight end. It's going to be a good crucial target for Cam Newton. I think the Patriots are definitely going to be a little bit better than they were last year. They had a lot of people defensively that opted out. I think the offense is going to be a little bit better. It's going to be surrounded by a little bit better talent. I don't see them as Super Bowl winners, but with this new, expanded NFL kind of playoff to 7 seeds, I can see them maybe sneaking in as a 7, but definitely see them having a little bit more success without Edelman, with just these new pieces they're bringing in.
Right. Aaron, how about you?
Yeah, I think they can only go up from here. They've been in a very lost mode since Brady left and since that whole dynasty ended. So I think they can really only go up from here. They do have really great receivers, and they can build from that. And they're in a complete rebuilding mode. So they need to get a good offense going for Cam Newton, who I think is going to be extremely motivated coming.
Awesome. So we'll wait and see what happens with the New England Patriots this season without one of their all-time great players. Moving on to the next topic tonight, another big NFL move that happened recently. James Conner, the former Pro Bowler for the Pittsburgh Steelers, now wearing red in Arizona. What type of impact move is that for the Cardinals? I know they've already been a good team. They've added DeAndre Hopkins. They've added J.J. Watt. They've done a lot to that roster. Does James Conner put them over the top to win that division? Aaron, I'll start with you.
100%. I am so excited to watch the Cardinals this year. Like you said, they have Hopkins, they have J.J. Watt, and now Connor, who has really been really outstanding for the Steelers. For a while, they had a really great offense, who have kind of dwindled down since. But, they had a rough year last year. But I think he can just be the icing on the cake for the Cardinals. I think they can completely take it this year. And yeah, with that offense, with him and Hopkins, I think it's going to be really, really great.
Awesome. Luca, how about you?
Yeah, I agree with you, Aaron. I think the Cardinals are going to be the team to beat in the NFC West. That's a very talented division, but I think that's going to be over the top. I mean, they made a lot of free agent signings this year. I know one name you guys didn't mention. So they picked up A.J. Green.
Right.
He's definitely out of his prime a little bit, but he's still, a veteran guy. He knows how to get open, and it's just going to give another threat. They got James Conner, too. I know last year they had Kenyon Drake, and he was kind of a meme because he said, fantasy owners, we're going to get you a lot of points this year, and kind of didn't. So I think the only void on that offense really was their running back. So now James Conner, a solid guy, if he stays healthy, is going to provide a new dimension to that offense. And I can see that Cardinals offense just having a lot of success this coming year.
Awesome. And then one more question on the James Conner front. Well, let's go back to the Steelers for a second. Losing a Pro Bowl running back, Big Ben's another year older. They re-signed Juju, but only to a 1-year contract. So do the Patriots, do the Steelers look like they're going into a bit of a rebuilding mode? Luca, I'll start with you. What's going on with the Steelers?
I think definitely. I think, their team's just getting to the point where they're just past their window. I mean, you got Ben Roethlisberger, who last season didn't really look that great. He had a couple injuries the past couple of years as well. He's definitely not in his prime. He's definitely away from that. I don't know if you guys saw, but Jadeveon Clowney signed with the Browns this year. He's going to have to play against that Browns defense twice a year, and they're going to go against the Ravens defense twice a year. Roethlisberger is going to be kind of like a sitting duck there. So I don't know about this team. Their defense is very talented and young, and they might be able to carry them to a lot of wins. But I don't know. I can't see the Steelers going anywhere up. I think their playoff Super Bowl window is closing rapidly.
Aaron, how about you?
When I think of the Steelers, I think of, unfortunately, T.J. Watt kind of carrying the whole entire team. Something happened to them, kind of something unexplainable, where they were on that winning streak this past season, and everybody thought, oh my gosh, they're going to the Super Bowl. It was like a no-brainer. And then something happened, and they just completely failed. And so Juju didn't have a season that he would typically have last year. But hopefully he can do better this year. But with Roethlisberger just getting up in age, football age, I don't know. They're definitely in a rebuilding mode, and they're going to be wanting to just better themselves.
Definitely. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the Steelers. Before we move on from this topic, I had a comment that stood out to me in the live stream. Let me see who said it. Give me 1 second. Brian Donahue. The Cardinals made such empty moves. J.J. Watt, A.J. Green, James Conner. I'll let either of the two of you jump in on that. Are those empty moves because they're older guys, or do you think these are impact moves for the Cardinals?
And I think this is impact moves. I mean, you got to think about this Cardinals team. They're very, very young. A lot of their players, having a guy in that defense like J.J. Watt, who's a veteran, he's not going to play 100% of the snaps. He's only going to play probably, 30, 40% just because of his age, but he's going to help the young guys a lot and give him a lot of guidance. You got A.J. Green, too. I think he still has it. And those younger receivers like Kirk, he's going to be able to mentor him well and help him develop his game. So I don't think these were like mindless moves, empty moves. I think these veterans, there's a lot of benefits to having a lot of veterans on your team, and I think they're gonna have a great, impact on that.
Aaron, how about you?
Let me say something about JJ Watt for a second. That is my guy since I was 11 years old. Just because he's a little older doesn't mean anything. The season he had last year, it was because he saw, I believe, the most double teams in the league. So yeah, he's going to struggle, even though he's JJ Watt. But you have him and Chandler Jones on that defense this coming year. So that's going to be really intense and very exciting to watch. As for the offense, now he's got Connor and Hopkins. I mean, those are not empty moves whatsoever.
Right. Awesome. Thank you guys for flaming Brian in the chat there. We're going to move on to our final topic tonight. I know the highly requested topic, and thank God Sean is not in here tonight because I take a lot of heat from him. Sam Darnold, the New York Jets finally moved on from him. I'm going to try to be as unbiased as possible as a Jets fan, but New York Jets moving on from Sam Darnold, trading him to the Carolina Panthers, appear to be locked in at either Zach Wilson or at least a quarterback at the number 2 spot. First and foremost, let's talk about the Carolina Panthers. What does getting Sam Darnold need for them? Does he elevate them? Does he make them a better team? What kind of impact is Sam going to have in Carolina? Let's start with Luca this time.
Yeah, I think Donald's going to have a big impact there. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater had a solid season last year, and I think, having Bridgewater, if they keep him and Donald on the same roster, is going to keep, a lot of competitiveness going into training camp. But Donald, I think all these years, he's been just such an underrated player. The Jets were a horrible situation to be in. The offensive line was bottom 5 in the league. Receivers, they weren't very great, and they weren't the best targets. And he put his head down. He didn't complain, but the Jets made him look horrible. I'm so happy he's out of there. That was just not a good situation for him. He's going to come to the Panthers. He's going to reunite with his guy, Robbie Anderson. My apologies. But he's going to reconnect with that guy. And the Panthers, they have a much better team, both offensively and defensively, than the Jets did. So I can see Sam Darnold doing a much better job. And I can see his Panthers. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs necessarily this first year, but they're going to compete and maybe win up to 7-8 games.
Aaron, how about you?
So far I haven't really gotten a good feel for Darnold. I don't know. He just sometimes rubs me the wrong way. But I don't think he's been given a fair chance with the Jets. I actually wanted them to keep him for another year just to see what they could do with him. But, that's all done now. So I want to see what he can do with this offense. He's got Christian McCaffrey. He's going to, like Luca said, he's going to reunite with Robbie Anderson. That should be really interesting because Anderson knows the type of player he is. And I don't remember if this was last summer, but he was working out with Christian McCaffrey in the offseason,
Yep.
I think last year. So they know each other. They know each other as players. And so that should be really interesting. And I do want to see him just get this really good opportunity. And so we can see what he can actually do in the NFL. Because I think the Panthers could give him a really good chance of proving that.
Awesome. We're going to talk about the implications on the Jets for a second, just to give my 2 cents here as the known Darnold advocate on this WMCX station. I do think it's a good move for the Panthers, first and foremost. I do think he's an upgrade over Teddy Bridgewater. Obviously, the chemistry's there with McCaffrey. He had Robbie Anderson as a receiver in New York, but I have friends in the chat, and I promised them the hottest take of my life, so here it comes. Sam Darnold will be the best quarterback in that division this upcoming season. He'll be better than Tom Brady. He will be better than whoever New Orleans is starting, whether it's Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston, and he will be better than Matt Ryan. I think he's in the perfect situation. Yes, I know I'm a Darnold advocate. I'm a fan of his, whatever, but I do actually think that that's a really talented roster with a good offense, a solid defense, and a good coach, which is something Darnold's never had. So my hot take of the night, I think he's going to be the best quarterback in that division. He's going to be better than that old man that's rotting away in Tampa. He's going to be better than all the other quarterbacks in that division, but I do think it's a good fit for him. Let's talk about the Jets for a second now, because trading away their starting quarterback, that's a pretty big move, and that's a big risk to take on a guy in the draft. So, Aaron, I'll start with you. Zach Wilson's the guy they've been talking about for a long time. Is he the answer for the Jets? Do they draft him? Is there another quarterback maybe they're looking at? What do you think about what the Jets do at 2?
I think that would be a great pick. They are in a rebuilding mode as well. And if they can get Wilson as their quarterback, I think that could really send them over the top and just get a lot more wins than they have in the past years. Darnold, for whatever reason, couldn't do it with them the past couple of years. And so with Wilson, I think it'd be a fresh face. I think it'll give them a nice clean slate and a blank canvas to work with. And yeah, I think he could actually be the answer to many of their problems.
Luca, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's looking like Zach Wilson's the only answer. It looks like they're very, very in, despite maybe unless something insane happens in the next couple of weeks. But it looks like Zach Wilson is going to be their answer, their number 2 pick. I'm really hoping he does well. In college, he looked very interesting. He looks like a good talent. He looks like the modern day quarterback where he's very good mobily, but he's good throwing on the run, pocket passer. He could do that as well. The one thing I'm really hoping for him is I hope he doesn't continue. He's not another quarterback in that Jets cycle where every 3 years they draft a new guy. I hope they learn from what happened with Sam Darnold and they build around this guy the next 2-3 years. Because this guy, he's looking like a solid prospect, and I think he can do good things. But the Jets are really gonna have to build around him, and we're gonna see how they do in the next 2-3 years. So hopefully they learn from Darnold. But I think Zach Wilson can have some success if he's in the right situation.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. This trade, either way, whether good or bad for the Panthers and the Jets, had a lot of implications. We'll wait and see what the Jets do at number 2. In 2 weeks, Go Talk is, shameless plug coming in. We are doing live draft coverage right when the draft starts, which is Thursday the 28th, I believe the date is. We are doing a live draft show, so we're going to be talking about that. We'll see my live reaction to whatever the Jets do at number 2. That wraps up our show for tonight. So we're only down to a couple of episodes left. We have next week the draft show and then a final episode during finals week. Aaron, Luca, always a pleasure having you both on. Love talking to you guys about sports as always. And that's all I have for y'all tonight. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Everyone else, we'll see you next week at 9:30 on Go Talk. Sean should be coming back to rip me apart for my hot take about Sam Darnold. We'll see Aaron, Luca again. Thank you guys so much. Everyone else, have a good night.